All right, welcome to The Explainer. So the world of AI developer tools, it's just exploding.
First up, we've got the category you've probably heard the most about, your in-editor copilots. Yeah, these are the AIs that literally live right inside your code editor.
So think of these like having an expert pair programmer sitting right next to you 24/7. They're absolutely fantastic for all that boilerplate. You know, the repetitive stuff, the simple functions. Honestly, they can save you hours, literally every single day.
Now, this space is all about trade-offs. You've got giants like GitHub Copilot, which, has that super deep integration into the whole GitHub world. But then you have something like Cursor, and developers just rave about its Fusion autocomplete. They say it's almost magical, like it's reading your mind. The trick is finding what works for you, because, even the best ones can sometimes have weird issues with other VS Code extensions, which can be a real pain.
All right, let's move on to our next category. And this one solves a huge problem, especially if you've ever worked on a big, complex project. Just figuring out where anything is.
These tools are basically a GPS for your entire code base. They are an absolute secret weapon when you're onboarding to a new project or, you're trying to debug some production issue in a massive, ancient code base. They give the AI the full context it needs to give you actually intelligent answers, not just random guesses.
So a perfect example of this is SourceGraph Qodo. It's like a search engine, but for your code. So instead of spending days or even weeks digging through files, you can just ask it a question in plain English, like, hey, where's authentication handled in this project? And boom, it'll point you to the exact files and methods. I mean, think about it. That alone can save a new developer weeks of time. And that idea of giving AI more context and power leads us perfectly into the next evolution of these tools. The ones that don't just help you write code, but can actually build entire applications for you.
Yeah, you heard that right. These are the instant app builders. They're perfect for spinning up a quick prototype, building an MVP, or just seeing if an idea you have is even viable, all without you having to write a single line of code. You just describe what you want, and it builds it. It's kind of wild.
So you've got tools like Replit, Bolt, and Lovable leading the charge here. For example, with Replit, you can literally give it a prompt like, build me a blog with user logins and a comment section. It'll think about it, plan out the architecture, and then start building it step by step, even asking for your feedback along the way. We're talking about going from an idea to a working, deployed application with a database and all in just a matter of minutes.
Okay, so the big takeaway here isn't about finding that one single best tool. It's about building your own personal toolkit that fits how you work. But that brings up a really important question. How do you even know what's good? How do you evaluate these things?
And this quote from Inena Ndukwe absolutely nails it. Don't settle for tools that are simply another linter. You want an assistant that gives you reasoning behind its suggestions. This is so crucial, especially for something like code review. You need depth, not just a glorified spell checker for your code.
So here's a practical way to test them out. Take a pretty complex pull request, a few hundred lines, multiple files, some weird edge cases, and just throw it at the tool. Does it just flag style issues, or does it catch the really sneaky stuff, like a subtle logic bug, a potential regression, or maybe a change that accidentally bypasses a security decorator? A really good tool won't just say, hey, add a null check here. It'll explain why that null check is critical to prevent a crash in some important part of the code.
So this table here is a great way to think about building your own personal toolkit. You might have your in-editor copilot for the day-to-day coding and boilerplate. Then you pull out a code-based expert when you're diving into a massive, confusing project. You use an app builder to quickly prototype a new idea. And maybe you use a terminal agent like Warp or Gemini CLI when your build keeps failing and you can't figure out why. It's all about having the right tool for the right job.
So where is all of this heading? Well, looking ahead, the future isn't just about us using one tool at a time. The real game changer, the next big thing, is the rise of multi-agent systems.
Just imagine this for a second. You have one AI agent that's writing the code. Another one comes along and does a thorough code review. A third agent writes all the documentation for it, and a fourth runs all the tests. And this is all happening automatically, maybe even while you're asleep. This is where we're going. A whole team of specialized AIs working together, getting a huge chunk of your work done before you've even had your morning coffee.
And that brings us to a final, pretty provocative thought. Is it possible that the future of being a developer is less about the nitty-gritty of writing every single line of code and more about being the director, the conductor of an orchestra of autonomous AI assistants, guiding them to build the next big thing? What do you think? Is your next collaborator not a person, but a whole team of AIs?